I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Naomi.
And we're from Espace Tricot in LYS in Montreal.
And this is podcast number 39.
39. Our second one as the new co-owners of the store. And we realized that last time we sort of dove right in and didn't really give a lot of context on the fact that the store has new ownership. Do we want to do like a previously on Espace Tricot?
Well, that's it. We were kind of all swept up in this amazing response we had on Instagram and at the newsletter and from people who came through our local shop here in NDG in the west side of Montreal. And so I guess we sort of got caught up in the idea that maybe everybody was up to speed. But after seeing those YouTube comments, we realized we'd, unfortunately and very sorry about this, forgotten about some of you.
So we're going to do a quick recap. Melissa and Lisa founded Espace Tricot back in 2011, is that right?
2010, I thought.
2010, 11. And basically, for a solid decade of being these incredible leaders in the fiber world. And over the course of those years, developed new passions. Melissa got really into dyeing. Lisa, who was always passionate about stationery and about teaching, they just got to a point where they were kind of ready to do something new. And then we both worked in the store over the years. So when they started chatting that way, we were like, well, we would be interested in becoming the next gen. So that's what we did.
It was very
organic.
I can remember our very first serious chat about this, but before that meeting on your birthday.
Yeah, that was my birthday,
It had kind of been floating around, so there wasn't ever really one moment. It kind of just grew out of a number of discussions that you and I had about starting something together as well.
We really knew we wanted to work together, and we were always looking for something, and so every time we'd be like, oh, one day maybe we could take over from Melissa and Lisa when they're ready to go.
Yeah, it was like a dream idea for like years down the line, and then all the timings seemed to line up.
So on that front, we do have some an update from Melissa specifically, which is Melissa has gone on to create her own yarn company with her friend Tanya called Sonder Yarn Co. Sonder Yarn Company, and they just launched on the weekend. So we're filming on a Monday. She launched on Saturday night.
Yep, she launched on Saturday. It would have been November 27th. And here we are on the Monday, and we had a little chat with her, and she was over the moon at it, and we were so happy that it had gone well, and I'm sure many of you have seen that and have supported her, which is just so lovely. She's just downstairs in the basement of our building, so it's really fun to have it all on our doorstep still, and to be so close. It's like a little fiber yarn hub here. In this part of the neighborhood.
And then from Lisa, just if you guys are wondering where's Lisa in all this, Lisa is taking sort of a break to chase some other passions, and one of the things I know she's doing is like a bookbinding class, and she's been making her own journals. So
she comes in talking about all sorts of creative projects and the walks she's been on and like the books she's been reading, and
she's super chill, and she's really enjoying just a break from the frantic sort of pace. I have no doubt we'll see her pick up something.
I'm sure. Like she isn't idle, and she can't be idle for long. She's always got some projects on the go. So we'll link her to her Instagram as well, that she was linking to back when we were posting about the changeover on Instagram. She's post vellum over there. We'll put a link down there, and I'm sure she's already posting lovely, interesting, fascinating, creative updates about what she's up to. And if she does take on any new project that involves the wider community, I'm sure she'll put it up there.
And so we would share the news too.
Yeah, absolutely. So on to business. The business of show. What are you wearing? Should we start there?
Yeah, this is hot off the needles.
Is it also hot under these lights? Or?
No, actually, it's really nice. So this is the stay pull, but it's a staple.
Oh!
So it's a total pun, which I love. This is by Parkin.
Honestly, I only just got that.
Oh, cool.
I was trying to connect it to some, French thing of pull or something.
Well, I think because we immediately go there because a pull is sweater in French, so it's like stay pull or what. No, it's totally staple.
Right.
Anyway, sorry, and it's by Parkin Knit, or Paige Parkin is the designer, and it's a super classic top-down raglan, beautifully written pattern, super easy to follow. I added stripes. It's originally done in lots of different fingering yarns held together in sort of crazy fades and stuff, a stash buster. But I used the Sneffnug, which do we have some Sneffnug? I have some. I'll show it in a minute. but I held it together with the Stellaris, which is a glitter yarn. And I don't know, you kind of need, it's super subtle. You need to actually sort of see it in movement in order to see the sparkle. And we're all obsessed with this yarn. I mean, it's not even really a yarn. It's definitely something you add to your project.
Dig around and find some.
Yeah, find some. I'll keep chatting. And what's so nice about it is that it's not itchy at all. Other metallics that I've used, they're kind of scratchy. Whereas this is like, it just disappears into the yarn and you don't feel it at all. And so, yeah, this has like a salmony pink sparkle in with the Snef Nug. And my idea with this is that I might wear it to our holiday party. It's my holiday glam.
I have a sparkle sweater going for the holiday party too that I might finish in time.
Yeah. So this was, I think I used 6 balls of Snef Nug, 5 or 6 balls. I did go for a super crop. I will stand up so you can see it. I like a crop that shows my belt. That's kind of where I like to do crops. She does offer a longer length. Ooh, yeah, get those right up there.
Get them sparkling.
Yeah, those are the sparkle. So I used this one right here. But there's like a classic gold, a black on black, and then this wild sort of coppery olive one here. That's really cool.
We do have one silver buried in my basket of yarn down there, and I'm not sure if
that one's been popular too. I think we only have a few left.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's super fun to knit, super fast. This was on 6.5 millimeter needles. I just blasted through it. I will admit, like plain stockinette sweaters are not totally my jam.
You were texting me saying like, "Oh, it's boring."
Well, that's me. It's a really well written pattern. It's nothing at all to do with the pattern. It has to do with me wanting to be like, this is hard, but it's done, and I love that. I love it.
So if I show you like that, how thin it is there. So it is lighter than a lace weight, and I'm using it with actually to do another version of our gingerbread sweater. So with the Midnight Sole, which is a lace weight fuzzy yarn, and then the Knitting for Olive light fingering weight merino. And I didn't change needle size, and it hasn't really affected my gauge.
No, I don't think it can really affect your gauge.
I don't think you really need to account for it going up a yarn category by adding such a fine yarn.
It's like sewing thread almost.
Yeah,
like
it is. Yeah. It is effectively. If you've seen those metallic sewing threads, it's effectively that. And
to give you a sense of how much yardage you get, this whole sweater I used just one, and I had leftovers. In fact, I didn't put the sparkle in the neckband because I was worried that I wouldn't have enough. And you do the neckband sort of early so that you don't, so you can see the fit. But I really could have used it.
Yeah.
I had lots left.
But I also don't notice that you have left it out. So if you were doing larger sizes of sweaters or larger projects like shawls.
Yeah, you can leave it at the cuff or leave it out. You wouldn't notice it at all.
Or even, if you did have leftovers and you want to make a hat with it, you could leave it out of a hat.
Yeah, even in a stripe or something.
Or whatever. Yeah.
And then just to add to what I'm wearing, I'm wearing these fabulous sparkly earrings.
I saw those sparkling around when you were trying to
they go really well, right?
Yeah.
So these are from Katrinkles, and they are an etched acrylic that has knit stitches on it. And so we got these in 3 colors. We have these iridescent unicorn. That was obviously for me. But we got them in black and rose gold as well. And they're super fun for that holiday sparkle, something a little bit fun that's knitterly without being like over the top knittery. So yeah, I feel like altogether this is quite the ensemble. So yeah, I'll post my Ravelry notes before this goes live. But a fantastic, fast, simple raglan that can work in almost any wardrobe, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what are you wearing?
Well, it is the coziest sweatshirt I've ever owned from Hannah Isolde, who is a local Montreal maker. She has a beautiful line of nostalgically, whimsically inspired clothing.
Which is so you. Like, the words whimsical and nostalgic, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense.
I literally, built my yarn dyeing brand around that concept. So I've always really resonated with her work. And through the pandemic, she branched out from these gorgeous dresses and blouses and her very tailored look that she has gone with in previous seasons, and started making these amazing sweatsuit sets, sweatshirt sets.
Work from home in your sweatpants. Work from home,
exactly. But, sweatpants, but make it vibe.
Yeah, cool.
And she took that a step further this season with adding these heritage deadstock fabric quilt. There's a word for them. Quilt blocks. I'm still learning my quilting vocabulary. Also handmade, And so she has a range of these on her website, and they just have these fantastic details. I love the crop. I love the balloon and a Green Gables poof sleeve. And they just make it... I'm not one to wear sweatshirts and
Yeah, you're not really a
out and
dress
about.
down kind of gal.
But this really plays into how I want to feel like I can get away with dressing down. But I also want it to just be a little extra.
It's awesome. I love it.
So I shall probably slip into something more appropriate.
All right, can I do this? Can I do the snap?
Yeah, you do the snap.
Okay. Hey, that was a quick change.
The magic of cinema.
What are you wearing now?
This is the Bookshop Cardigan, and I don't know why I don't wear it all the time. Probably because some of the time I'm wearing
The gingerbread.
Beautiful quilted sweatshirts. There aren't enough hours in the day to wear all the cozy things. This is I guess the first cardigan pattern that Espace Tricot will release.
That's incredible that it took us like over a decade to release a cardigan, but here we are.
I think it's because I wear them. I love wearing cardigans, and they're not everybody's garment. And you've got to design what you love and what you want to wear. That's when designs feel the most comfortable and inspiring to other knitters, when the designer feels confident and at home in them.
And this is your design.
It is.
And
yes.
We did a really cool photo shoot for this, because this has actually been off the needles for a little while.
It has. I actually finished it during my trip to England, or very shortly after. I did everything but the button band on my trip to England, and then I wanted to wet block it before I put the button band on. And that helps you get the final row gauge so that when you pick up your button band, you're picking up enough stitches to match to that row tension. Otherwise, it might end up puckering or waving.
You get that ripple effect.
Either a ripple effect from too many button band stitches, or a puckering effect from too few.
Yeah.
So I was good. I wasn't lazy. I wet blocked it properly. Good soak, pinning it out, proper wet block before picking up for the button band.
Here, do you want to stand up and do a little twirl so people can see the length?
Okay.
I know it's hard. We can't get the full, perfect cardigan length.
It just hits under the jeans pockets.
Yeah.
Now I am quite short. I'm 5'2". 152 centimeters ish, I believe. So it'll be written for that length, but there'll be instructions in the pattern, as is the case in many patterns. You can knit until the desired length.
Yeah.
It is a very simple stripe repeat of 3 colors, following all the way through. But you could really play with this in any ratio or combination you like. It could be a 2-color, it could be all different colors if you have a bunch of stash.
Although I do think one of the things that coming to a simple pattern like this that has such a perfect proportion of the stripe, it's good to go with it. I mean, because there's a bazillion stripe patterns, sweaters out there, right? Mm-hmm. But this one, what I like so much about it is it's just the right amount of space between each stripe.
Thanks.
So I think for sure you could do just one contrast color, or you could do 2, or however you want to use up your stash. But I really like how it's balanced.
But I did want to go with something that I haven't seen. This is where a lot of my design ideas come from, is what do I have in mind and can I find it? And if I can't find it, I try to make it. And that's how many of us come to knitting at all. So it felt like a very natural progression to just put those ideas onto a new and simple garment template. But I know what you mean. There have been a couple of the patterns I've knitted with stripes. They've been so successful because I followed that exact balance, and that's where you can find what may seem to be subtle differences between some patterns that look kind of the same.
Yeah, but it's and again, it can also depend on your body type too. Where you want those breaks to hit you can be, and you only learn that through experience, and you learn that, it sucks. You learn that from trying things on, which you can't always do when you're making it yourself. So, what's nice about this, you can see exactly how this plays out and how this breaks up. And because it's a thin stripe, it really reads as one pattern. Versus what I've done, which is color blocking. And you can see very much how that same effect, they're completely different vibes.
But I do like how this comes across as almost neutral, because the stripes are only 2 rows. round.
Yeah, so you could do almost anything with it, and it's still, what you're really feeling is that beautiful gray, and it's super neutral and usable with anything.
So it is in the Cardi worsted, which is a beautiful yarn we have discussed at length from La Bien-Aimée in Paris. And this sort of follows hot on the heels of the release of the Cardi worsted book, which also contains some beautiful patterns and
photography and everything. It's just like a very beautifully presented package.
And the curation from Aimé Gilles, who runs La Bien-Aimée and founded it, the curation there is really present. You can sense her aesthetic through all of it.
As if that wasn't enough for us to say to you, get that book. We have this pattern that's in the Aimé's yarns, the Cardi worsted. We will also, when we get it fully published, list some possible substitutes, whether in an Instagram post or on the Ravelry page. Yeah. Because we know that definitely it's a yarn that's not in everyone's budget. Or maybe you get it for the main color and you use some cool stash yarn for your stripes.
And that's why it occurred to me, that's why my thoughts ran straight to the book, because the 3 colors I've used in this, the Shire, Dawn, and Rust, we'll list all the details in the notes below. I do have, although I knit this a small size, and the tech editor hasn't worked her magic quite yet on estimating my yardages for these small little bits, you will still have significant portions of those skeins left if you choose to get these 100-gram skeins for the contrast. So the reason my mind went straight to the Cardi worsted book is I'm full of ideas for those patterns, because quite a few of them also have color work or smaller amounts of the 100-gram skeins. So I'm definitely going to use my leftovers from this to do one of those patterns from the book and really take that yarn as far as it can go, because it's a treasure.
Yeah, and you really want to use every yard you can.
Yeah.
I think you should tell them about the
buttons.
The buttons, they're just adorable. You need to get close.
I shall get closer. I didn't really know what direction I wanted to go with the buttons when I first cast on this cardigan, although I've definitely come up with cardigan ideas in my head that started with the buttons and everything else followed after. But we were trying a few different ideas in store, and I asked, it was a Monday, everyone was all around us, and I was like, what do you think? And then I landed on it almost as a joke. I brought these out, and then I was like, oh wait,
yeah, they're perfectly there's humor and whimsy, and
they are little bumblebees,
and the detail of the yarns you use to sew them in.
I used the actual striping yarn to sew them on in a stripe pattern. So little green bumblebees and pink bumblebees and orange bumblebees.
The attention to detail is what makes it so amazing.
And you need to get quite close to me before you realize they're bumblebees. So
no, it's great. It's the kind of detail that like a beautiful designer thing has, right? Where it's like you only see it when you get up close to it. So I think it's like the perfect little detail.
Yeah, and they're quite sweet. These are from Katrinkles, custom laser engraved buttons, and we've stocked up on more of them. But if the imagery or the figurative art on your buttons isn't your vibe, I think a natural wood would be just lovely. Yeah. Or antler, even, to go with these lovely grey.
Anything really.
Anything. So I'm really looking forward to releasing this one. I can't say for sure exactly when, or if it'll be before or after the release of this podcast, but very soon, if it isn't here already yet. And I'm looking forward to suggesting some other colorway ideas, color combinations, yarn alternatives, I'm just thrilled with this one, and I've been really encouraged by the response that all of you have given on Instagram when I've shown it in the works.
Yeah, I mean, both, and your gingerbread too was a big hit, and you're like, you emerge. You are emerging.
I'm blushing. I don't really know how to absorb it all.
It's super weird, right?
It is a bit.
I have had moments when people are knitting my designs, that they're wearing it, and I'm like, that's nice. Like I get frozen because I don't even really know how to express how it makes me feel.
It's true. I don't want to come across as falsely modest, and I don't want to come across as too pleased with myself, but I know when I receive those comments and compliments from somebody else that they are wishing it with this genuine spirit that I have when I compliment somebody else, and I want to receive those compliments in that spirit, with that energy, and acknowledge their generosity and their energy in taking the time to tell me that, and I want to acknowledge that they're making that effort. So I don't want to just dismiss.
And it's even, I think,
anything.
you know, when it's your art or your craft, it's not just that's nice. It's like if they've knit it and they're wearing it, it's like you put all your time and effort into it. It's like an overwhelming.
I get like chills while we're talking about this, and I saw it when people come come back to see me in projects that they've knit with the yarns that I've dyed, and I have no words. It's absolutely the most humbling feeling that somebody chose your design or your yarns to put so much of their time and creative energy into, and then wear out in the world and present themselves to the world with that statement that
I wanted to wear this.
Yes, I woke up and I chose this today. It's and as a knitter, we make those statements every day, and it's just.
Yeah, and like I'm talking about how much I love this design, and I'm not even thinking about like what that might mean to the designer of this, but when I actually put it in perspective of like how I feel when someone does it, I'm like, whoa, that's heavy. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's always put out there with all this wonderful intention. But like when it comes to me, I'm like, oh, I feel weird.
Anyway, I guess all that to say, I'm learning to accept compliments and encouragement in the spirit that it's given.
So speaking of this yarn, I'm also knitting with it.
It's all we do is speak of this yarn. We just love it.
I know.
We have other yarns.
Yeah, we do have other stuff. I will be quick because it's just a whip, a work in progress. And I did show this on Instagram.
You had such a lovely photo for that.
I did. I took a little picture of it at home with my golden radiators.
Steph has this beautiful, like, they call it a century home? Is that how they refer to it?
A money pit? Yeah, I have an old house. And I have one place in the entire house that's, like, clean and doesn't have toddler mess everywhere. And that's where I take my pictures. It's by my radiator. So enough about that. I will just show it to you. So this is a skirt in progress in the La Bien-Aimée Corey worsted. So listen, this is not a bargain project, and it's certainly, I don't expect anybody else to do this. This was sort of my, oh my God, I bought a yarn store cast on, and
it's gorgeous.
And I will definitely, I will give yarn recommendations, substitution ideas when I actually get this done and published, if that day ever comes. But for now, it's just like, this is my fantasy project. I love like Alice Starmore and Marie Wallen and all those really super complex color work. But I've always been really scared to try and design that kind of work myself. I've kept myself to more like 2 or 3 colors. Because I didn't feel like I really understood it. But I have been reading up about it and looking at other charts, and I decided I'd just go for it. So this is going to be eventually a past the knee sort of situation.
Oh, but it's so cute as a mini set.
Oh, yeah, just walk around like this. So yeah, I have a long way to go. And also one of my things, I posted some of the charts that I'm working from, and I'm really kind of designing as I go. So this was.
Where did you post them?
In my stories, maybe.
Oh, like on your.
Actually, I think the Espace Tricot stories. I had one of these in the background.
Not up on our own account.
Somebody asked, like, oh, what are you using to make your charts? So this is, I used Stitch Mastery, which is a program that you pay once, which I really appreciate. It's not a subscription. You buy it and you're done.
Way to go.
So, I mean, it's if you're not working professionally as a designer, it's a bit of a splurge. But if you're thinking that you'll publish it all, I really think it's worth it. So obviously I blew these up really nice and big so I could see them. So this was section 2, which is what I am in the middle of knitting. And this is going to be section 3, and I'm like going to have section 4 and 5, and I don't even really know what they're going to look like yet. So I'm really just enjoying the process.
I love the way these colors are going together. I have approached Marie Wallen projects like a desert island project, as in
like a bucket list.
Bucket list. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I would love to do one, and I started to approach one time. I bought the Yell pattern and I got a bunch of phenol yarn for it. But I didn't really pay attention to the colours she had chosen, and I chose about 10 or something that I liked from the phenol range, and some of them I thought, oh, well, I can just replace those 2 with 1 and melt them together. And that often does work in colour work, and I love trying new things with colour work and when people take charts and make them their own. But what I noticed with such an investment type of colourwork project where you've got upwards of 6 or more colours is that you should probably just follow the designer. And I don't want to say that anyone has to, obviously.
There's people who are gifted with color who can make those changes.
Absolutely. And, I feel like I do know colors quite well. I know what colors I like. But when it comes to those charts, the amount of work and investment the designer has put into the thought of creating that chart isn't just about, do I want a star pattern and do I want a square pattern? It's also like, which colors are playing with each other and how is it working overall in this, 8 inches of solid color work. That's an oxymoron.
Yeah. Solid color work.
So that experience of starting that cardigan and knitting a couple inches and being like, I'm in way over my head here. I shouldn't have messed with the work that Marie had done in that chart. I should have just, trusted the process that she had put into it. That made me realize what work and design the design of the color matching, not just the literal design of the pattern that it's making. So what I'm seeing
here
here
is secondary. I'm learning that like the little X's and O's and that's secondary. I think it is actually all about the color.
Mm-hmm.
But what's nice about working with this yarn that we will always talk about forever and ever apparently is the palette is so solid that it works together. Like I'm using really basic theory about, I'm using several different shades of oranges and yellows and I try to blend through them in the background to get that sort of glowy thing that
and that's what's happening. Like, we're a couple feet away from you now, and you've got this sort of darker band running through these circles. But when I bring it towards you, that is, and it's not even quite reading on this camera, but this is fuchsia. Is this Madeleine?
Yes, Lise and Madeleine are the two, the pink and the purple.
Okay, so this is Lise here from the palette, and this is Coquelicot. And
I have them.
You wouldn't necessarily pair those together, and from a distance, it doesn't even seem how high contrast they are. But
yeah, color work changes the way things work together. Anyways, it's an adventure of a project. I can't wait to wear it. I think it, is a knee length wool skirt going to be comfortable? I don't know. I guess I'll find out.
I mean, it soon will be in Montreal. And once the pattern's released, I'll have to knit this in maybe like Barocco Vintage or Sunday Morning.
I think what's interesting is this yarn is called worsted, but it very much feels like a DK to me. I think it depends what needles you work it with. But because this is a dense gauge, I'm using a 4mm needle here. I think it's actually it's a DK in this context. So if I was going to look for a substitute, I'd be looking at maybe the Sunday Morning DK from Sonder Yarn Company. I think vintage you might have trouble getting gauge.
Do you think? I feel it's a light worsted, but I have to say I haven't knit with it very much.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a fun adventure when I finally get this done and I publish it. And it's one of those patterns where it's like, I'm going to publish it. I don't know how many people are going to actually knit it, but it's like,
it'll be out there.
Yeah, and for those people who do want to try it, I will be so excited to see what they do with it. So yeah, that's my...
Well, I think it's inspiring.
Oh, thanks. That's my whip. When you've got a really big whip, you need a really big bag. So this is like a little preview. We're going to do a whole bag special, and this will come back. Okay.
But it is all in one bag there.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it'll hold everything.
Finished objects.
Let's go back to finished objects.
Okay, back to finished objects.
Nice, quick change.
Pretty good at this.
Yeah, I just talked a lot, so you talk this time.
Sure, I'll start. I'm wearing the Underground Vest by Shayna Billow, and it's on Ravelry. I've posted about it a few times on our Instagram account because I just can't get over it. I have made sweater vests before, thinking that I was ready for the trend, and they're still in my drawer and I don't wear them a whole lot, but this one tipped me over into a full-on devotee.
Not only did it tip you over, it tipped like half the people in the store over and a bunch of people on Instagram over. Like you're making this happen.
Well, Shayna's making it happen too with this pattern. It is really well written, super well thought out in the details. I'll stand up so you can see.
A little split hem.
It's a really nice balance of ribbing. Just the little details, like the collar feels like not too tight and not too loose, like, the Goldilocks porridge of collars. And the one modification I did was on the armhole edging. where in the original pattern it mimicked the ribbing where you pick up a knit and then rib for a couple. Sorry, I was trying to keep calm and carry on.
God, this is so real. Let's keep it in. It's so good. You were saying?
Armhole edging.
Yeah.
So Shayna has very clever instructions to mimic the look of rib when you pick up a knit from the armhole edge, but she doesn't have you do it. It's great. Like you, what is it? It's bottom up, and there's some seaming at the shoulders, or you could do a 3-needle bind off. I did a seam. But you don't have to. Once it's done, it's done. You don't have to.
You don't pick up a knit.
You don't pick up a knit. You fake it with garter ridges, which is really clever. But I did want a bit of a sleeker finish there, so I just did slip one, purl one, knit one, purl one.
Yeah, it's a
like
sort of faux,
a vertical rib, basically.
and like sort of it's almost like a faux I-cord.
It kind of got that look because I was slipping the first stitch, which the pattern does have you do. So
Get more in the middle, maybe. Yeah, there you go.
There. So it kind of looks like the stockinette continues to the shoulder edge, but it doesn't have a curl. It's like that on the wrong side.
Yeah, that's a super nice little trick for edging like t-shirts or vests.
Yeah, yeah. And in this chunky yarn, you really don't notice that it's a rib.
And what yarn is it?
This is the Drops Wish, which is one of our chunkiest yarns. We got it in over the summer, completely at the wrong time of year because it had been back ordered, but it's proving to be a real hit this season. It's a quick knit, but it's really light and lofty. So this is already an invaluable layer under coats without adding all the bulk under the arm and in the sleeves, but really providing that core warmth so that if you have, or if it's a great gift knit too because it's so fast.
Super fast.
If you have people to knit for who work outside a lot, or dog walking, or landscaping, whatever kind of job might keep you outside, or hobby might keep you outside for a lot of the time, great core warming.
Make a great little like split towel too, like something like that to get the neck warmth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, it's a great yarn, and I was thinking of it like I think of it as part of the suite of like we have Air, which is worsted. Mm-hmm. We have the Snap-Nug, which I did my sweater in, which is sort of Aran, and then we have this, which is sort of a bulky. So we have this sort of suite of yarns that all have this kind of texture.
This tube that have the fibers blown into them. So I picked out a couple just to be able to show you the yarn itself, and I gravitated towards these because I'm thinking like a neutral one would be really nice to add to my collection of one. And I want this back now. It's been living on our mannequin for the last couple weeks, but
it does not need the extra core warmth.
No, she does not need any extra core warmth. We keep it nice and toasty in here. So there it is. A little bit of a halo. Really nice and cozy. I made size 3. It took 5 balls. Oh, last thing, it's knit flat, but you could easily adapt for knitting in the round by just joining in the round after you've worked the split hems separately and then dividing for the sleeves. But I like it I like the seam. It gives it a bit of structure.
Yeah.
Especially with a yarn like this, it's quite floppy.
Okay.
So that's that, and I'm going to keep this on because it's nice and warm without being too warm.
Perfect.
Under these spotlights.
The LED spotlights. So I'm wearing what was a whip in our last podcast is now a faux. F-O. I like to use the
lingo.
Slang. So this is the base sweater in alpaca lin, knit by our fabulous Mona. And actually, I don't know what size we knit, but
I think she did the third size.
But one of the things that Naomi came up with was so smart on Instagram. We all put this sweater on, like almost everybody in the store put the sweater on. We got photographs so that you could see how it hangs and how it works on different body shapes and different sizes. So I do feel like this is a little big for me, mostly in the sleeve. I would like it to be a little shorter, but actually I kind of like this body size. I think it's a very drapey, flowy kind of a knit. It's the same back and front, super easy wear, and I just feel like it's quite chic.
Yeah. It has that like chic, oversized silhouette with a really ingenious construction that really does characterize all of Jacqueline Cieslak's patterns.
Yeah.
I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Just innovative,
Yeah.
Thinking outside the box. And I know Mona said that she really, as she was knitting, it was like, I can't believe I never thought of doing this, which is Mona's way of saying this is really, really good. And, you know, speaking of that sort of like, you know, the extra fabric under here, what I like about this yarn is that it's warm without being bulky. Like, I really feel like it almost feels more like a jersey style, like a jersey knit.
And Jacqueline describes it as, I forget what adjective sweatshirt, but sweatshirt. And it is like that cozy knitted sweatshirt of your dreams while still being a bit glamorous. Throw some Stellaris in with that.
Or like a big statement necklace.
Yes.
Yeah. So we love how this came out.
And I think it is fairly modifiable if you wanted to do more ease but have less volume in the sleeves. It does come down to, a bit of modification, but it, from what Mona was saying as the knit structure, doable. And so it's a blend of linen and alpaca, 44% linen, 8% wool, and 48% baby alpaca from Rama. So we have a lot of colours, fun colours, good neutrals, and a quick knit.
Yeah, Mona was done this in a couple weeks, but that's Mona too.
Mona's there.
Yeah,
Mona's
she's
there.
speedy.
Speedy.
I'm not going to stay in this because I am actually a little chilly.
Oh, okay.
I think because it is bigger on me, like I'm feeling the breeze a little bit.
Well, that's good to know. It's airy rather than
well, I'm also
super insulating.
Because the other one is so warm. I wore a little tank top. I'm just like I don't have anything on underneath.
So it's a good layering piece.
You need some. I think in the winter you would want like a t-shirt
something
or something
underneath.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want us? Are we snapping again?
Well, then I feel like I'm gonna snap. I should put on something else.
Why don't you snap and go
Let's snap and see what happens.
Good choice.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's the Turtle Dove. We just restocked Luft, so I figured, why not? We don't have to talk about it. Everybody knows about this. So.
We've talked about this one before, many a time.
So yeah.
What's next? What are you knitting?
Ooh, okay. Here we go. So, speaking of cardigans, I'm going to knit a cardigan. And you can see I'm very much at the very beginning. This is a pattern by Joji Locatelli called All of the Lights. And it's a bit of a vintage pattern now.
It is. It's a couple years since that one came out.
It is. And you know, I feel like I overlooked it a little bit because her version that was like the cover was in a bit of a speckly yarn. And I was blinded by the lights of the speckle. I worked on that. I just found that it's elaborate cables and lace, and I totally admire people who add speckle to that. But for me, I like my cables
crisp and clear.
Yeah, and I especially love
deep
off-whites.
and crisp and even.
Yeah, deep and crisp and even.
What version is that? Is there another melody to Good King Wenceslas?
No, I just don't know it. Really.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually the back neck of the All of the Lights cardigan. And this is typical of a Joji Locatelli construction. It's a top-down drop shoulder. So it's really well explained in the pattern. She has lots of sort of diagrams to show you where you are. So this is actually like sort of goes back here. And then once I've finished making both of these sides even, I come and pick up stitches along here, and then I work down. So it's almost modular in its construction. And it's quite epic.
You learn a lot with her patterns, I find, about sweater construction and direction of knitting, and learning to read your knitting, where to pick up and where to be increasing, and what parts of your fabric are which orientation in a 3D sense when you're knitting in 2D. If any Joji patterns appeal to you and you haven't knit any yet, she's a great designer to expand your repertoire of techniques and your experience of what knitting patterns can be and how they can be written. It's great to try different designers in that respect, and she's a really good one to try.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I've taught her patterns, and I haven't knit one myself, but I have taught her the boxy one, the easy one. These are all top-down constructions similar to this.
Boxy is bottom-up.
Okay, sorry, I'm thinking of the easy one maybe.
The easy one, I think, is top-down, yeah.
And it's great, and I think the fact that I've taught those a couple times has made this easier to do because there's a lot going on. So I usually say if you want to learn a new technique, the smart thing to do is choose something that you're already really comfortable with the other parts of it. So in this case, the fact that I am familiar with that construction and I'm pretty good at cabling, like I cable without a needle, I'll have this, I have this pretty much memorized. then I can add that new construction.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to add 3 or 4 different new things and the same pattern, that can be a recipe for disaster.
And this is reminding me of one of the first, or maybe the first sweater I knit by her, which is the puntilla. But puntilla is a top-down stockinette with a little bit of lace detail at the cuffs. I made a second version and didn't put the lace on. It's very customizable for length and hem style and all of that. But the actual shoulder construction is a really, really good one to have in your library of construction. So if you want to try this kind of drop shoulder, top down, seamless, which are 3 words you don't always get together, the puntilla is a good way of doing that without bringing cables in if you want to just take it one step at a time.
Yeah. So that's obviously I just cast this on this weekend, so this is very new. Hopefully I'll have more progress to show next time.
And tell me about what's on the end there.
Oh, well, I'll show these more fully later, but these are stitch stoppers from Camp Fiber yarns, which will show you some skeins from her as well, Laura at Camp Fiber. And these are just like amazing little adorable silicone stoppers that you can put on your needles to keep your stitches in place. They're great. And so I have a bunch of colors. I'll show them when we do our sort of like, what's new? I will show them.
Fantastic.
Do you have anything on your needles?
Not really, but shall we pause for a second because I'm wondering if you have that on backwards.
Oh no.
But what just came off my needles yesterday is too long for landscape mode, the Upstate Scarf.
The Upstate Scarf.
Scarf.
Yeah, that's what we came up with. I think
it was your idea. It's a great idea.
Yes, and it was, obviously to reference where this sort of inspiration came from, which is Taylor Swift's re-release of Red. There's a red scarf in the video for All Too Well. She talks about it. It's become a pop culture moment. But it's also just the scarf in the video is just a beautiful textured scarf. So we thought, let's get in there and figure out how to make one.
And quite a few people were chatting online about how to make one. There was one for sale on Taylor's website that was $35 and 100% acrylic. And we thought, well, a lot of people are getting in on this. It would kind of be a fun design problem to solve.
Yeah.
To try to figure out that stitch pattern. So it's a broken rib. We've actually already put up a very bare bones version of the pattern to get you started in a reel last week or so.
Yeah.
But we will end up putting out a free PDF for sure once we get it seamed and photographed. It will be a 1-page 8-line pattern. But I still need to figure out the exact yardage. I'm going to put tassels on. I've got to figure out that style. But I think ultimately it will be a really solid, basic, ungendered scarf.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so this was 3 skeins of the Homestead yarn, right?
The Homestead yarn from Plymouth Yarn Co., which is not so new to you, really. You came back to them after knitting with them a few years ago, right?
Yeah. So we were looking for sort of some new basics for the store, and we're just sort of trying to get some ideas. And I remembered back when I was like really a baby knitter, one of the first sweaters I designed, in fact, I used Plymouth Galway, which was sort of a Cascade 220 sort of equivalent. And it had just the most beautiful colors, a huge palette. And I remember feeling very sophisticated. It was 100% wool, and I felt like a real knitter. I bought it in a real yarn store, not at the craft shop at the mall, So I asked Mona if she would sort of poke around and see if she could find out what they had. And so we brought in 3 lines, right?
Yeah,
and this is the one we're all in love with. It's just a really great classic Aran weight.
Yeah, it's a heavy worsted to Aran. I actually have to admit, I haven't measured the gauge on this, but I used a 4.5mm needle. Now, I knit quite loosely, and we almost thought when I was about 6 inches in, maybe I should have used a 5 even myself, but I didn't want to rip back at this point, so I went with it, and I do like it. It's dense, it's warm, It doesn't have the drape that would happen if you used an untreated wool yarn on a larger needle. But I think that most people would be happy with a 5mm knitting this scarf.
Yeah, but like I said, I think the density of it, and it's got this great texture in it, I feel like it would keep you really warm.
Definitely. And it does sort of have that density that machine knits often have. Like it's hand knit is knit at very loose gauges compared to what people might be used to from machine fabrics. So
yeah, if you have someone on your holiday gift knitting list
Yeah.
who, maybe doesn't understand the virtues of hand knits, this is a nice compromise.
So I'm just doing this little hack to show you what would happen with two. So 2 skeins of this yarn can actually get you a scarf about there. And
Okay.
nice and wide.
Yeah.
Still. So, I mean, I wanted to go big and stay home with this with this scarf because I wanted it to emulate the source inspiration. But if you're running short on time, if you've got a few of these to make, if you're on a budget, or even if you just want to try this new yarn without, a big investment into a 3 or 4 skein project, 2 does still get you a good scarf length no matter what kind of pattern you'd choose.
Yeah, and I mean, with this one, you could even
Yeah.
leave off like 3 repeats and you'd get a bunch more length and it would just be a little bit less wide.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you left off, this is 44 stitches. If you cast on 40 or 38 or something, you'd still get a good scarf width, like a bit of a classic scarf width, and several inches longer. So all that to say, 1 skein really does go quite far.
Try it on.
Yes. And I've got plenty. This isn't the full 3 skeins. I've got plenty left because I was saving it for tassels.
I love this color.
It's a great color. It's fire engine bright poppy red but it's got some depth to it. It's not like a cold red.
Yeah, it's really lovely. And Naomi sent me a photograph, sort of like a really rough picture of her just with it, like, it's finished. And I was like, wow, this red looks incredible on you. I just think it's a red that really brightens people's face. I say that and we have 2 skeins left?
We ordered more already.
Yeah,
We've
of the
ordered
red.
more already. Françoise came to visit us and she picked up some of it for stockings.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
perfect
great
for that.
It is not machine washable, but it is still, I would say, for most people, next to skin soft.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you've knit with Cascade Eco Wool, it's similar. I would say it's similar in softness to Gilead, or maybe it's a different fibre, so it has different character. But in terms of actually, does it itch? If you're good with Rowan Pure Wool worsted, Gilead, Cascade Eco Wool, you'll be good with this one. So quite accessible softness level.
Yeah.
And that just came off my needles. So I think I need another
So you need a new
new
project.
project, which I've been thinking about.
And?
I want cables now too.
Oh, excellent. We can have a cable party.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's something about colder weather, and I rewatched Knives Out recently, and
Oh,
all of that.
that sweater.
So, oh, I know. I put it in the bowl. I went to a classic, a favorite, an incontournable, a coup de cœur, that I've actually never knit with. I knit one slipper with some leftovers once.
I've done sweaters.
And
You're
lost
going to
it.
be very happy.
I know, I'm going to be super happy already. Gilead by Gererum Natura. So this is the colour Cell. We have a lot of it. There have been supply issues with this yarn, and we have more on its way to us. And I'm so happy, and I really hope that company continues thriving, because everybody loves this yarn, and those poor folks at the factory seem to have been having such trouble keeping production going, between supply issues and labour shortages, and they're always just so lovely to work with and prompt and doing their best to get it all to us. So every time a delivery comes in, we're like, yay!
And it feels like there's always one coming, because it's always like a little box here and there.
A little
This
bit more
color
coming,
came in.
Yeah. So, but all that to say, having said all that, we do have quite a healthy stock of Gilead and Cyrano. It's big sister in stock at the moment. So this is a classic, bouncy, round spun, untreated merino yarn that I think will really have that great stitch definition that you want for popping cables. So I printed out the pattern, which I don't always do, but I thought, hey, I can show it to you nicely. It was quite a process deliberating around the perfect cable combination combined with structure, but I love how this one falls, and it's actually in Gilead, the original, so that's nice because I have a bit more certainty going in of what it will look like at the end.
Yeah.
So this is the Supermoon sweater by Vera Valimaki, and I will link to it because I don't know if these cables are quite showing so well in the white, although I do love paler colours to show cables in real life. And I have to say though, I might change this big panel down the middle for a honeycomb.
Oh, lovely.
Because I do love honeycomb. But just this, it's a top-down raglan structure that I think will be really intuitive and have a good flow to it as I'm knitting as well.
I just realized that if you're knitting a Vera pattern and I'm knitting a Hohi pattern, we're having like our own little interpretations party.
Our own interpretations moment. Those two, I love to see their friendship through those design collaborations.
Yeah, so for anyone who's not familiar, Hohi Locatelli and Vera Velamaki are very good friends who have a long-running collaboration called Interpretations, and they put out a book every year or so? Is it more often than that?
So we're up to the 8th. The 8th one is actually coming out quite soon. On December 10th, I believe, is its release date. I actually haven't taken the time to browse through the pattern previews, but it's always a really solid compendium of basics, and they always shoot them beautifully in their respective cities or on location. And
it's like they come up with a theme, and then the two of them both interpret that differently, hence Interpretations. But I just think it's funny that, I don't know if it's because we know it's coming. Did that
maybe?
put
I wonder
these
if that was
designers
in
in
the
our
back
heads?
of our minds.
So I think that's cool that we're going back to some of their older work, but they're always putting out new things that are really beautiful as well.
Yeah. So that'll be my winter knitting, and I think this is also why it resonated with me. I'll just read the little caption on the front page here. Winter moon, sometimes so pale and so beautiful, I'm longing to see the light reflecting and glistening on the cold snow. It always looks a little like little stars on the ground. This super moon sweater is made for that feeling when you eagerly want to see snow again. So that kind of coming this week when we just had our first week of snow, first snowfall this week, probably resonated with me a little bit too.
Yeah, that's really cute.
Yeah, really sweet. I love it when designers take the time to write the mood
really beautiful
of the pattern,
copy.
Really set the scene for. I love getting into that mood with the designer and feeling the intention of the project while I'm working on it. Same with yarn, and this is why I gravitate often to yarns that have names that resonate with me. When I was choosing the yarn, the colours for the bookshop, I really wanted to go with Moria because I had picked the Shire, and I was listening to Lord of the Rings at the time, and I was like, I want the Lord of the Rings colours in this cardigan, which is kind of what's even the word? It's kind of not irrelevant because colour choice names is so relevant, but it kind of doesn't matter whether the colours are all named after Lord of the Rings or not.
No, but I know there's that satisfaction, right? Yeah. Like I've been there too, because I was doing my William Gibson phase, and then there was actually a colour named Static, and even though it wasn't the colour I wanted, I was like, oh, I gotta use Static
for the.
So I totally get it. But I'm just thinking how different we are. Where you're like, oh, that's such beautiful. I want to be in that mood, and I'm like, I like shoulders that are big and strong. I'm just much more a finished object knitter. Although I say that, but I love the puns. Like, I love the staple. Like, that every time I pick it up, it's like, oh, that makes me laugh.
Well, over the summer, I knit another Paige Parkin design, the Ritual, Daily Ritual. And the copy that Parkin Knits wrote for that fully got me into that sweater. And then I realized, oh, it's also an excellent design and excellently planned and has a really great fit and all of this, and I'll probably make more of them. But what pulled me in was that the mood she evoked of how important knitting is to us every day, especially through the past couple years. When we have the time, it really feels like something we can do for ourselves and like a moment that we can take for that. And the name of it fully got to me too. Yeah. And so it's funny because there's such different part of design. Like it's not just about the garment. You've got to pull people in. Like
it's all. You're right. It's that. We talked about that too. Like sometimes that photography. It's not just about wanting that sweater. It's wanting to be that person in the sweater, right? Like we're humans and we respond to those cues, whether they're visual or they're words, and of course that's what seduces us into being like, I want to be in that image.
Yeah, and I think this is why we find designers that resonate with us, and often we go back to the same designers over and over because they have that same approach to the world that we can dive into, and even if we never meet them. So, 2 more finished objects, and let's rip through some new stuff.
Okay.
Just going back to the Stellaris, because these have been a big hit. The Twist Mess hat and mitts. Now we re-knitted the Twist Mess hat pattern from last year, Doesn't have a pom-pom yet, but I don't know if it needs one.
I don't think that it does.
I'll get back a bit so you can see my head. I like this one. Really nice amount of slouch. There.
Yeah.
Can you see the sparkle?
I want to hold it up closer and see if I can get this some sparkle going for you guys. It's I feel like I want to add the sparkle effect, you know, but it's there. It's just
and this time we also
gorgeous.
Made jazz hands mittens. Oh, now there maybe are you seeing a bit of sparkle there?
I don't know. Well, when I get into editing, maybe I can pump up the sparkle.
Amanda knit these for us.
Yeah, and she did a beautiful job.
Beautiful job. And these mittens are now out on Ravelry as a free pattern as well.
So they're called the Twistmas Mitts. If you can say that 10 times fast. Twistmas Mitts. To go with the Twistmas hat. So we actually, I think we still have a couple kits, or did we still?
We do. We have some kits.
So we put together kits that allow you to make the mittens and the hat, and you'll have some little bits of the sparkle left over. You'll probably have some bits of the mohair left over. So the idea is like, we love the idea of taking that Stellaris and adding it to all kinds of projects. And just, you know.
So the reason we made kits, and you will end up with some leftovers from this, but we know how you like kits, sometimes taking the work out of combination. But we also wanted to encourage the mixing of brands. Often we focus on one brand for our kit, and with good reason, like the palette is consistent, the gauge is going to be consistent because it's the same base. Even with a single ply superwash merino, people take different bases, and you're not always going to have the perfect effect, blended effect that you want if you mix them. But we always encourage mixing up different, not always, but
yeah, but I think it's also, it's more like what happens
them
when you go shop your stash. And so, you know, we know that real knitters are doing it all the time. We are. So why not at least give it a try? And the idea is also, of course, that just to demonstrate sort of what's possible. So you can go for the kit and basically have that be so simple, or you can have a look at what we put together and go, well, you know, could I grab the Stellaris and a mohair and go shop my stash?
Absolutely. And so this is 50 grams of mohair, any silk mohair blend, the Stellaris, and then 2 fingering weight single ply merinos, or mix up a single ply and a plied. And this is, but what we chose, Walk Collection and Life in the Long Grass, and we went with some pretty high contrast. And you hold the 4 together, 1 mohair, 1 sparkle, and 2 fingering weight, and you get this gorgeous blended effect. And I think it'll be really fun to see how various of those super special fingering weight schemes in your stash will play together.
Something, you know, we all love to do it when we see that one special skein. So beautiful. Yeah.
And the same amount, if you choose, would also make 2 hats easily. Or 2 pairs of mittens. You'd have enough for that too.
So this a little bit was my...
this was a brainwave you had. Right at the beginning when we took over.
Yeah, so this is our original chevron baby blanket, which has been a classic Espace Tricot pattern for I don't know how long. It's got like 5,000 projects on Ravelry. And we just decided to mix it up with a new yarn. So this is Alegria Grande from Manos del Uruguay. So we have a main color here, and then these are all what are called bocados. So they're like little bites. Little bites.
Bite-sized skeins.
Yeah, so each, we have a kit for it, and each kit has sort of 2 of each of these contrast colors, and then 2 skeins of the main color. And with that, you can make this beautiful baby blanket. And then we also
lap blanket for yourself. Blanket, I mean, look at this. I'm
so beautiful.
Good night, everybody.
And this is so my colors. I just like.
I know.
I want to bite it.
Well, they're turning into my colors, just sitting here.
And then we also have sort of a we call this one London Fog, and that one Pumpkin Spice.
So seasonal.
Yeah.
So autumnal.
Get a little bit more of that like lemongrassy sort of vibe here.
With the gray base is the main color.
Yeah.
What else is in there? There's something special in there.
Oh, yes. There are these die catchers, which, I should have gotten one that wasn't in the bag.
Don't we have some on a shelf?
You know what? I'll just describe it. They're not so exciting to look at in a box.
They look like a dryer sheet, right?
Yeah, they look like a dryer sheet. But this, like, all the podcasters were talking about these, so I decided we had to find them. We had to get them. And basically, you put them in with your blocking knitting, or the first time that you're getting your yarns wet, and it grabs all the excess dye so that it won't run. So basically, because we know when you put big, intense hand-dyed colors like this with white, the chances of it running into the white and turning that white pink like even the
Can
possibility,
happen.
right? We
As
don't want
careful-
that to
as
happen.
careful as you are, as careful as the dyer is, like these things happen.
Yeah, so we don't want that. So I was like, we're going to put a package of these die catchers in with the kits. So you have what you need when you go to block this. You throw a couple of those in the water, and they're going to go and heat up all the excess dye.
It is crisp.
Yeah, like beautiful. And there's enough in there that you can, if you're gifting it, you can throw a couple extra sheets in there and tell your giftee, you know, the first couple times you wash it, you might want to use one of these.
Because this is machine washable, is it?
It is. It's absolutely machine washable. I will say, me personally, if I spend that much time knitting something like that, I'm going to take the time to hand wash it, because superwash treatments wear off over time as well. You know, it's just, you know, there's some things that obviously for babies, for kids, you know, I know it's a blanket, but I don't know. Of course,
as little as possible.
It's machine washable.
Yeah.
I'm just a very nervous knitter who's had bad experiences.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we just wanted to point out, that those do include the die catchers. We're trying to make it totally
Hassle-free.
Hassle-free. It's gonna work. You know, you're not gonna have to worry about that. Oh my God, when I put this in water, is all my hard work going down the drain?
Yeah. And so we did this, right? Did you use the die catcher when you blocked it?
No, Amalia blocked that with vinegar originally, but I have used them since with some soft silk, and I'm finding that it definitely works. Although I didn't find there was a ton of runoff, which they did they warn you about it, and I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, the soft silk, they warn you about the runoff.
But I didn't actually find that it was that bad.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's something.
I'll take some video the next time I use one so we can show it.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I really wanted to showcase camp fiber yarns, and this is a new dyer on our shelves that we're really excited about. And so we went with
Behind me.
25 colors of her sort of fingering MCN, but it's a very plump fingering. It could even sort of feel like just on the edge of a sport. It's nice and bouncy.
I think you've listed it on our site as a sport.
I think I clicked both.
Oh, okay.
I think I put it in fingering
It's in
and
both categories
yeah, it's
on
in
our
both
website.
categories.
Not to, just so you're not confused, it was intentional.
Yeah. So one of the things I really like about Laura's dyeing, the camp fiber colors, is that she's this amazing palette where there's these incredible juicy brights that are really intense. That's very much my thing. I love this kind of color. But she also is really good at these sort of subtler, more chilled out tones. So this is called Mineral. It's a beautiful sort of bluey, purpley color. And then into even more purple, this is called Dreamer. And it's just the loveliest, sort of a little tiny bit of gray blue underneath, a little tiny bit of speckle.
And I find she's really strong across the technique, so it feels like there's something for everyone in this palette, because you and I gravitate to very different things in hand-dyed yarn.
Yeah.
And you go with these strong variegations and these really jewel tone brights, and I love those to look at too, but I'm always swept away by the very subtle speckles and the neutrals. So to then have a dyer who comes up with something like this, and then blows you away with something like this, and the subtle speckles and the neutrals of this color, white oak, it really is like...
Well, and on that trip too, like this is this yellow called Celebration that is just, I've never seen really another yellow quite like
it's
this.
like a buttery cream.
It's buttery without that sort of, it's not boring buttery, which I feel like that can kind of feel, that butter yellow can feel really like, flat.
Yeah.
But this has these speckles in it that just give it a really beautiful depth and interest to it.
So we're excited about this one.
Yeah, we are all over it, and like Mona was all over it too, because the greens, like the intense yellowy greens, are amazing. Although this is a beautiful green as well. This one's called Sweet Succulent, and it's like, of course, I look at the name and I'm like, yes, 100%. I see that succulent green.
And it's all over too. Like this one has less speckles but a lot more variegation, and the others are like more of a solid base and heavier on the speckles.
Like, and then we just have a beautiful sort of kettle dye feel to this Baltic amber.
Yeah, though we picked some solids too.
Yeah, we tried to get a nice range with our initial 25 colors. So
it was hard though. Yeah, cutting it down.
But we're really excited to have this on our shelves, and you know, if you're a lover of shawl knitting, where you like to have those 3-color shawls, I think this is beautiful. I will for sure be making a sweater with it. I just haven't figured out what exactly yet. But I have worked with camp fiber yarns before, so if you go look at my Ravelry patterns, you'll see a few where I have used camp fiber. But then the other thing we got from camp fiber we showed before, which is these adorable stitch stoppers. So just like as a bonus, as my Pilates teacher used to say, 5 more as a bonus. So these are those little silicone stitch markers that I mentioned. So we have them in cow print. We have them in a beautiful rose gold. That's got like like a pearly thing. Gotta have that mustard because we love the mustard yellow.
Fluorescent pink.
Hot pink. That is Espace Tricot pink. And these were the big hit, and we have restocked them. Is that leopard print that I showed on my needles as well. So
such fun flair.
Yeah, like really.
Yeah.
And what I like about them is you can see them in your bag. So like you're not losing them. You can actually spot them.
And they really do hold on well. And they're on they're one size, but they're a good range of needle sizes, right?
What Laura says is that basically if you're using really small needles, you put 2 needles in one.
Right, like sock knitting or something.
Yeah, but I'm using them on my 6.5 millimeters, no problem. So they can definitely, I think probably maybe up to 8 millimeter. 8 millimeter might be pushing it.
Okay.
It's that, I'd say that world. I think it says, we did say what her recommendations are. So yeah, these are back in stock. I know we posted them on Instagram and they disappeared and now they're back.
Great little great little stocking stuffer.
Yeah,
for knitting friends.
Yeah, I'm super excited and excited to work with it.
And we've kind of been on a gift trip lately. We made a holiday shop.
Yes. Oh, the new website allows us to do some fun stuff we didn't know how to do before, like create little collections.
Yeah.
So we put together a holiday shop with all our favorite gift ideas. So for you knitters who are looking to send a link to your friends and family, this is perfect.
Yeah. And we've piled a bunch of stuff in there that is excellent gifting for people who aren't knitters or aren't knitters yet. And we'll be showcasing a few highlights from that over the next little while. Because we've got a lot of things that are polyvalent, that are multi-purpose.
What did you call it? Multi-craftual?
Multi-craftual. Such as, we've got a few to show actually. We've been adding new things, so it updates quite regularly and you can sort by newest. So if you want to see if there's anything new in there, you can pop in there and have a look. And, we've got lots of little bags and stationery I think is still in there and candles and all sorts. Coincidentally, I wanted to talk about these anyway, the Petite Pochette restock that we recently had. So
these are made for us by Jocelyn Malrick, and they're this really cool zippy pouch that can open and sits open and flat, which is so great if you're trying to find your notions. You don't want to dig around, especially if you've got sharp things like needles and scissors.
Yeah, opens nice and wide, but it's got these lips at the end.
Keeps everything in.
Keeps everything in.
And then, it's just like perfect. And it could be pencil case too, but
absolutely. Great pencil cases. As I said, Françoise came by and visited, and her son Theo said all the kids at school have like this shape of pencil case. So I'm like, okay, well, we're down with the kids.
Yeah, we're ahead of the curve, I guess.
Nice.
So yeah, we
say that entirely unironically.
we got a restock, and of course they're already flying out the door, but we do have a number still in stock.
We do. Lovely range of colours too. Some brights, some pastels, some neutrals. They have this cute little D-ring, so you can, if your project bag or handbag has one of those little clips, they can go on there.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, you can put your little stitch markers on your little
like a little charm,
lobster clasp charms, and
they're great.
They're great.
Yeah, we all have one at least.
Yeah. Jocelyn had a good idea for them. She keeps her charging cables in them, so she always knows where her charging cables are.
That's really
like
smart.
Your cell phone and I don't know what else, all sorts you charge up these days.
Yeah,
so
those are great.
So before we get really into the bags that we want to show, because we have a whole segment for that, I thought I'd show you the ceramics we're really excited about. Now, we unfortunately couldn't get back the Knitting Fuel mugs in time for the holidays, but we found another local company here in Montreal that imports directly from Tunisia, where these beautiful ceramics and dishware really, but we instantly saw the potential for knitters, are handmade out there, and the company Yaryan has a really close connection with those factories and artisans, and Gassan, who brought them to us hand delivered, was telling us about going out to visit and meeting with them there and just having this really close connection. So that was fascinating to hear about, and just feel like you have the next step of
Well,
traceability.
yeah, you know where it comes from.
Yeah.
And yeah. So we saw immediately these bowls as an opportunity for a beautiful yarn bowl, and in fact we had it in the background of an Instagram video, and people
Somebody already asked about it.
We're gonna get that. So these are the obviously they can be for other things, but we love that they're kind of perfect for a 100-gram ball.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's even a little bit bigger, that's a full cake.
Most
of a cake, yeah.
So those are beautiful, and then these are a smaller bowl that would be great for a little notions dish.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Just to keep your little markers as you go, or even like little scrap yarn.
Yeah, it could be scrap yarn. But I love that we got the mug, which, we're not saying put yarn in here. Put stuff in here that helps you keep going with your yarn, whether, that's caffeinated or yarn or...
I love the feel of them. They're not quite as large as our Knitting Fuel mugs,
which are
admittedly.
ridiculous.
Which are ridiculous. I can't get through a whole cup of coffee before it goes cold, but...
Yeah.
Kind of gotta love that about them.
But I really like the handle grip on it. It feels really secure. It's not like you're not kind of trying to shove your hand into it. It doesn't have that sort of like kinky up feeling.
Yeah, if you usually hold your mug with the whole hand, it's there, 3 fingers. I think I'm a 3 fingers mug holder.
I think I like to do the slip in.
Oh yeah, the slip in, that works too.
Like this.
All around.
Yeah.
Huddle up.
Yeah.
So
they're beautiful. They're just beautifully made, and they have a nice warmth to the shape of them.
And they do have these irregular shapings. They very clearly are crafted by hand from start to finish. The little dishes in particular have this purposefully asymmetric and well, really they're just hand thrown. That's how they're going to be. So they're not intended to be perfectly round. The yarn balls, well, we're calling them yarn balls. They are now. They are intended to have much straighter sides, and but still there are little maker's marks in the finishing and in the just in the glazing. So if you are somebody who prefers to have a perfect finish and very regular enamel wear, these may not be quite so much up your alley, but I do really love how you can tell that somebody's hands crafted this from start to finish, and that's really their charm. So I'm looking at this one, and there are slight little marks in the glazing, but I think it's just
it's beautiful.
All the more special for that. So we hope that you would agree with us and embrace these. They're a good weight to them as well. I'm not worried that if I yank my yarn too fast and the bowl tips over, I don't think it's not going to break. I'm not worried about that. Obviously, it's ceramics. You've got to be a little bit careful. Mona asked us, how are you going to explain to people that it doesn't have a coil in the side? And I think the easy explanation is that we've never had great success with ceramic bowls. They break. If they're great for wooden ones, having that slit down the side to pull the yarn through. But we've had too many crack and weaken over time when that's in ceramic material.
And the truth is, you don't really need it.
I don't really use them. When I do use yarn balls, I haven't really used that guide. Again, if you prefer a guide in your yarn ball, maybe this isn't the one for you, but I do find that it's deep enough that it will keep that skein from bouncing around.
Yeah.
And whether you're drawing from the inside or the outside of your ball, it'll stay put in this. It's basically the height of a skein. So I was knitting from it. I've tested them, and I don't find that I needed that guide. I don't find it's missing, basically.
Yeah, I think they're super cute, and the kind of thing that, like, again, if someone's asking you what you want for the holidays and you're don't trust them to buy you yarn, these are the kinds of nice things that, maybe you wouldn't buy for yourself, or maybe you need that excuse to sort of pass it along, but that's, like, definitely the kind of thing I have on my list.
Yeah, the sort of thing that I know would make my making process that little bit more, like, special, and like the ritual of setting up your tools around you and having handmade tools to assist in your process of hand making, all of that, like we were talking about, the mood and the world that a designer draws you into. Tools can do that too. But it's, admittedly probably not an essential, but a lovely gift because of that. So
so we just got these in. In fact, I haven't even had the chance to open this up yet.
Yeah,
but this is a new product that we've just gotten in called wall cut wires. They are blocking wires, basically, and they come in this adorable little zippy pouch. And I was like, well, that's cool because all our other blocking kits are basically need a shipping container to go out. So I thought,
trying to ship because the wires are like their actual length and they don't fold up all the time.
yeah. So these are actually sort of these wires can go. They can be wound into circles. Like this.
And they've got these.
They're just twist ties holding them together.
But you'd want to keep the twist ties so that you can wrap them back up again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ingenious.
And then there's some T-pins that come with it, but of course you can always add your own as well. And basically what these are great for is especially for curved edges. So if you're blocking a crescent shawl or even a triangular shawl where you need that angle, these are amazing for that. You can of course also use them straight if you want to get perfect edges on your sweaters or something like that before you do seaming. But what I just love the fact that this is so tiny.
Is so great.
And this is something I can store in my kit and not have it sort of taking over.
And there are different lengths here. I can tell already this is a bit shorter.
There are 5 175 centimeter.
Okay.
Or sorry, 4 of them.
Yeah,
and
4.
3 100 centimeter.
Okay, so there are more in the pack. There are much more than this.
Yeah,
it's a good set.
Yeah, there.
Okay, well now we've proven it. 3 and 5.
Yeah, 2 and 4.
3 and 4.
Sorry, 3 and 4, 7 altogether. And then with the cute kit, I think that's pretty awesome thing to add to the Notions arsenal of Espace Tricot. So we're really pleased with those. And those have just been added to our web store.
Excellent.
So what do you want to start with?
How about, so Superior Labor is right beside me.
Okay, do it.
So we just got these in today as of filming. By the time we film, they'll be up. And this, you may remember from a little bit ago, maybe last summer, Superior Labor from Japan, an absolutely inspiring craft brand that has definitely been a little bit more in the world of stationery, I think. If you follow or shop at some artisanal stationery stores, and I think that's how Lisa got onto them, they do beautiful leatherwork stationery and that sort of thing, but they really do have that ethos of craft for all crafters. And this is the shallow tote, which has this really solid but bendable wire insert, I guess, around the rim, so you can, and it looks like I'm pulling it. I'm really not. It's not stiff, not that stiff. I'm trying to get it
nice and round.
But you really can turn this like boxed gusset tote into effectively a round basket, a bucket. And it's got these interior pockets, 4 of them, and really solid handles. So it's just, the craftsmanship is just so evident.
And then when you don't want your stuff to fall out of it and you're trying to close it up,
you can pull the edges, snap, and it's closed.
It stays closed, which I think is that's for me the idea that I could throw that in the car and not worry about my the stuff rolling out of it. And then I can even open a little bit while I'm knitting out of it, but keep the rest closed.
You can really shape it to any angle you want. You can kind of get funky with it. You can get like a square bucket vibe going. I've seen them used as gardening totes. And I don't know, you could, it's perfect for going to the farmer's market, like it's this very durable fabric. You could put it in the basket of your bike, all sorts of uses there. So it's really quite a good size for, I don't know, 8 skein project at least.
Yeah, at least.
And then there's this adorable
little baby one. Which is the same. It's got this beautiful, the wire in here. It's super moldable. And we also ordered this time these add-on straps. So just a few of them for people who like the crossbody. We added on.
It's effectively a handbag at that point.
And I love this. This reminds me a little bit of my youth of doing the army surplus. Like it's that perfect army green.
I would go to the army surplus. I had a satchel from the army surplus store.
And they were the best. Yeah. So it reminds me of that a little bit.
And we have these 2 colors, both sizes, in both colors.
Yeah.
The green and the blue.
I already feel like it's a party, just holding them up. They're amazing.
So for those of you who love brights and prints, these are the ones. I find they are so playful and yet so sophisticated.
Yeah. And it's obviously block printed, right?
Screen printed by hand in Amsterdam, sewn in Amsterdam, 100% cotton canvas, really nice and thick. They're even machine washable. Although it is recommended to soak them in cold water for about half an hour before machine washing. I think that'll help avoid shrinkage.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's what I was like. Well, dye catcher it. But you're right. It's probably the shrinkage.
You could even, she says, you can even iron them. Even the color of the screen printing may change, but that's just because of the heat. And don't worry, it'll cool down and it'll be fine. All of this, I'm just repeating off the website. I had to write the descriptions twice because we made a mistake. And so I remember the instructions really well.
So we have two styles here. We have the drawstring, the classic drawstring, and the zip.
So this is a classic zippered wedge. They all come with this pull on them too. And they all have the orange zipper. Now they're unlined, but the seams are fully finished. So they feel really sturdy, and they stand up on their own. And yeah, I mean, it's a good quality zipper. I don't feel like my yarn's going to catch on that.
I think as long as you don't shove it too full, that's my problem. Is I'm always trying to get way too much in my project bag.
Yeah.
But I just think that they're so fun and fresh, and I feel like especially in winter in Montreal, I'm always really happy to have anything bright and cheerful. Yeah. And we hung these up on a wall in the store, and suddenly it was like, oh,
it's like decoration.
Yeah, it really felt so cheerful, and it just catches your eye.
Absolutely. And we've been saying love it because I do love it, but also that is the company name.
Yes.
So there's Love It Design in the Netherlands. And so we've got all prints on both shapes.
And this is the pull it, and that is the zip it.
Yeah. And I realised I've got one that's missing. These are almost all the prints we have. We have a blue dot, which is like this gorgeous, rich cobalt blue. And
a black and white tulip.
Black tulips on the white background. Or white tulips?
White tulips on
black.
White
tulips on the black background.
Yeah.
So you can find them all.
They're all online. So these are nice big project bags. This is the one that I was showing you earlier with all of my skirt yarn. These are by Magner. They're called the Nitty Gritty.
The Nitty Gritty. It's a canvas and sewist leather worker from Athens, Georgia, who he wrote us a great little introduction to his brand when we first reached out to him, and just had a really good attitude towards like being a crafter in a different discipline, and then realizing the potential and the enthusiasm of knitters for like beautifully crafted objects. So it's really an interesting brand to check out. He's got all sorts of other things like a wine bottle tote and that sort of thing. So he didn't come straight into knitting, but we're glad he got into it because the results.
Yeah, these bags are great, and they're the kind of waxed canvas that is gonna relax a little bit with time and get a little bit less stiff. But what I like about them is they feel really, really sturdy. Like there's no sense that this is going to rip in any way.
Yeah, I've got this pulled now, and you can see, it's not that wide, but if Steph holds hers up when it's properly full, that wide gusset really does expand to accommodate a lot. You might notice it feels quite oily, like it feels like I've got...
It's a heavier wax.
It's a heavier wax. I've got wax on my hands, but it's not transferring to yarn.
No, definitely not.
And it's different on the inside. It's waxed differently. So don't worry about that. If you first get it out, if you choose to order one of these, if you first touch it and feel like, ooh, is that going to harm? No, it's not going to have any problem with your yarn. They've got a lot of detail inside too. We've got a larger pocket, almost the full width of the bag, lined with the yarn guides, should you choose to use them. And then on the other side, they've got other pockets, for fit. Crochet hooks, scissors, spare needles in these thinner ones, pens. And then there's even a zippered pocket embedded. So the work in these, the seaming, the polish, like the finishing of these and the thread color choices. The zipper pocket
is what puts it over the top for me, because I'm always losing stitch markers and I'm always losing darning needles.
All of this, they're all French. Is that a French seam? No,
but it's beautifully finished.
Yeah, all of the seams are folded over and finished like that. I don't know my seam terminology, but there are no raw seams in here. They're not even selvaged. They're actually folded over and double stitched. So they're just absolutely beautifully made. Excellent workmanship. And
we have 4 colors?
Like the double handle.
Or 5?
We have 1, 2, gorgeous like a oak chocolate colour. This petal dark blue. And
gotta have my yellow.
Gorgeous bright yellow and a natural.
So
it's been a while since we had a sort of beige natural bag.
And I love that the way the leather looks with the natural is really beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, we feel like there was something for everyone there. And then, of course, like our classic Hunt and Hammer bag, we got a little restock. I know people have been waiting for them. I just have mine, which is a little bit.
They wear in so beautifully.
Yeah. So this is my mustard with tan, or sorry, mustard with nude leather detailing. My Hide and Hammer. So this is the iconic roll tops. The idea is like number three. So you put your stuff in. It's like almost like a little lunch bag, and then you. And what's cool about this is that you're working on something small. It's small, and as your project grows, as you whatever, you can expand it. So I find this.
That's interesting. I usually leave this attached.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could unattach that.
Yeah. Oh. So you can adjust. Yeah, this is also adjustable at the top.
Yeah.
Like it's a.
That's how I usually open mine. But if you're finding these are a bit stiff at the beginning, it looks like you've also got a popper.
Yeah. So you know, if you're doing a big project, you put it on the
That's how you take the leather off when you need to wash it.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that. I never realized that they come off. So if you do need to wash the bag, you can remove the leather.
Yeah. So they're fantastic. We just got a little restock of those as well. So, you know, basically if you want bags,
we got
your bags. All right. Well, I think that might be
everything for today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could always go on.
So, realizing this is going to be our last podcast before the new year, we should...
Yeah, some holiday business.
Yeah.
We've had a look at the shipping recommendations from Canada Post, which is the shipping service we primarily use, and they recommend mid-December for a deadline, but then it varies widely depending where you are in Canada or the States. So to be safe, we looked at their very earliest shipping deadline. We reckon that if you order by December 7th, you can be fairly confident that parcels will arrive in time for the 25th. Obviously, once it leaves our shop, it's definitely out of our hands.
You mentioned we've been sort of at war with our gift cards for a while, but we've won. We won the war.
Triumph!
Woohoo!
Over system failures and known bugs.
Yes. So we finally can confidently say that when you buy a gift card online from our website, you can use that on our website or in store, and same in the other direction. So if you come into the store and buy a gift card from us here, it can be used online or in store. So the nice thing is that, you know, looking for a last minute gift, if you do miss that shipping deadline, or somebody else has missed that shipping deadline for you, that can all happen online or in store, and it's all done by email. So you know, you don't even have to worry about something going in the mail. So now let's circle back to all this cool video content and Instagram content we want to do.
We've been doing a little bit more, and it comes in waves when we have inspiration. It might have been a little bit since we've posted something at this point, but we're committed. They'll come every now and then.
And so for for this season, Naomi's been working really hard on planning out all kinds of different tips and tricks for knitting fast, fun non-knitting stuff to do with your yarn, gift ideas. So
little activities for your holidays if you've got the kids at home, or if you've got more time on your hands and you want to try something new. I've got some stuff that you inspired me. You have a few tutorials.
And
I have really fun.
I have a 7-year-old, so I have to come up with things to do with my yarn because otherwise she will. We're
get Veronica on the show.
Oh my God!
Veronica,
if we
what
put
are you
Veronica
doing
on the show, we will not be talking for the rest of the night.
My sister wants to be on the show too.
Okay.
You get them as co-hosts.
We'll do
It'll be a mini you and a mini me.
Okay.
My sister's not. She's not a mini me.
No.
No, she's 13, but she's not
wild.
She's not mini. She's taller than me.
I know, so cute.
It's cute.
We're excited to do that.
Yeah. Get into the holiday spirit. Yeah.
Happy all the things. Merry New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We'll see you in January, and
Happy Yule.
Yule. It's such a funny word.
It's a great word. I love that, Yule.
So that's it.
Happy knitting, everybody.
Happy knitting.